Vamos a la Playa, Righeira, 1983, a classic Italo disco hit. And a little while back, I was approached by a client who wanted me to re-record this for him. He wanted to record the vocals in Greek for another audience. And he didn't want a cover, he wanted it exactly as the original in sound. As always, everything is possible with enough time and money. However, if you don't have the unlimited checkbook or an eternity of time, it's very hard to get 100% close to something that was made in 1983 with the gear and recording tech they had back then. So in the 2020s, we have to be pragmatic, be practical about it with a limited time and budget. Now, I don't have any accurate information about the exact gear that Righeira and their producers used for this particular track. I know that on the album they used synths like the Prophet 5, PPG 2.2, I think they used an ARP and the Lindrum, among other things. So we just have to go by ear and see if we can get some of the sounds as close as possible. Many parts in this arrangement are small genius hooks, and so is the bass, syncopated, often offbeat. Let's check it out. So the song starts with the intro and the chorus straight away. So both the intro part and the choruses uses this kind of bass lines. And in my arrangement here, I've used two different bass sounds. One sound from the Roland JV880 and one from Dexid, the free DX plugin. So these are layered. And the verses are just eighths going at it. So let's check out the synth brass for this song, and this is really where it comes to life. A good use of harmonies and offbeats playing. Let's check out the intro first, where it's mostly octaves. And this is really all it is. So in my arrangement, I just play the two parts, one octave apart. So let's add the harmonies. The chords. So these are two parts. Let's do the easy one first. So that's playing on the beat, but the other part is playing on the offbeat and with chords. So let me put on the click here. So you can clearly hear the first part playing on the beat and the chords are playing on the offbeat. And at full speed. And that's the chorus. we have one more sound playing in the background here. A bell sound. I've just duplicated it a few times to add some octaves. That's really all that's playing in the chorus. But we have a little bit happening in the intro as well. Those brass stabs. That's a nice little touch, isn't it? I always like that bit. So we have a little sax part coming before those brass stabs. Again, very nice touch from the original producers. So we can compare it to the original here for a second and see how close we are. And there we have it, the intro part and the first choruses, with its brass sounds, bass sounds, and a little bit of bells and whistles. But we have more synths here as well. Let's check out some in the verses. And first of all, those piano sounds, or the piano sound. So we had that piano, we had some guitar picks or synth picks. In the mix, I used the Roland MKS 20. In this tutorial, I'm using a DX sample on my Prophet X. I just love those notes, how they sort of just segs into the verses. Dreamy and slow. But here comes the picking guitars. So I'm using a couple of samples here. And so a little further out, we have a couple of other sounds as well. I call them Jamaica here. So let's see how I've done them. So again, I'm using two different sounds here to mimic this. One is a sample from my Contacts. And the other one is again from the JV880. So a really nice use of the pitch bend there. Almost a Baroque theme. The pitch bend. Other sounds worth mentioning is a little arpeggio part in verse 2, where I'm using the PG8X. The arrangement built towards the end with more strings. So it is quite massive actually towards the end. At least when you hear it like this. So that was some synths. Let's check out the drums. And on the original, they used a Linn drum. I'm pretty sure of that. So I've just, mimicked it. That is off my old Juno 6. Vamos a la playa. La bomba estalló. So let's break down those drums and see what the individual drums are doing. I have 2 kicks, layered of course, a little bit of hand clap, and a snare, and hats, and that Juno 6 noise coming occasionally for that noise snare sound. So the drums are very simple in this track, no big things going on, they do the job and that's it. And for the vocals. So this is in Greek as the client wanted, and I just try to mix in the vocals as close to the original vocal sound as possible. I think it sounds pretty good actually. Πάμε στα μπαράκια να βρούμε κοριτσάκια να πιούμε τα σφινάκια και να κάνουμε καμάκια. Πάμε στα μπαράκια. So to create a little bit of space around each sound, I turned to no less than 8 different reverbs and delays for this, all with different settings and algorithms, to create a little bit of diversity amongst the sounds. Some of the sounds, many of the sounds are pretty much alike. So again, that's a good way of using reverbs and delays to give those a little bit of space. I'm also high passing a lot of sounds, of course. That's important to get rid of mud in the low end. And I've detuned a lot of sounds against each other, again, to get the more authentic feel of the 83 Classic, where things are a little bit out of tune here and there. So I think it was appropriate to detune some sounds occasionally. Well, there you have it, a version of Vamos a la Playa in Greek, made as faithful as possible within the limits set. for this project, and please check out the video description for links to where you can actually listen to the finalized mix of this. And a little tip at the end here: when you're working with paying clients, it's always wise to manage expectations from the get-go, from the start. When you're asked to do a remake of a 1983 synth classic, it's wise to be upfront about how hard it's going to be to make it sound 100% the same. So be pragmatic, be practical, and I think we came out all right in the end here. So thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. Cheers!